After dark, the Newell Highway enters the Pilliga like a black cut-through timber, and the people who drive it for a living follow one quiet rule: do not stop between Coonabarabran and Narrabri. By the end of this story, you will know why the Pilliga Scrub Lights and the haunted forest corridor of the Newell Highway that long-haul drivers refuse to stop in at night still sit in that uncomfortable space between road knowledge and the unexplained. It is passed around at fuel bowsers, in depot yards, and in the low talk between drivers who have seen too much empty road to be easily impressed. They fill the tanks, they check the straps, they make sure the cab is warm enough, the coffee is within reach, and the tires feel right under the load. Then they go in. On either side, the scrub presses close. Headlights catch pale trunks, dust, road markers, the sudden shine of animal eyes, then nothing. The engine hum becomes the main sound. The phone signal thins or disappears. A driver can feel the road through the seat, steady and familiar, while the forest beyond the glass feels wrong in a way that is harder to name. If it were only kangaroos, bad shoulders, or tiredness, they would say that plainly. But the warning around this stretch has another edge. It begins with lights where lights should not be. If you like grounded Australian mysteries that leave room for the unknown, subscribe before we go deeper into the scrub. The first thing to understand is the road itself, because the warning makes more sense once you place it on a map. Coonabarabran sits to the south, Narrabri sits to the north. Between them, the Newell Highway cuts through a long body of scrub that does not behave like the open country many people picture when they hear Outback Road. The Pilliga is dense, dry, and close to the bitumen. In places, the trees come in so tight that the headlights feel boxed in, throwing hard white light onto trunks, dust, and low branches. But the highway is only the obvious line. Off it, the forest holds more than 2,000 kilometres of tracks. Some are fire trails, some are old forestry roads, some look safe enough at the entrance, just a pale strip of dirt sliding away between the trees. That is where the danger changes shape. On many of those tracks, there is no phone reception. A wrong turn may not give you another exit. The way out can be the same way you came in, if you can still find it. At night, with red dust on the windscreen and the smell of hot rubber coming off the tires, every fork can look like the last one. So when drivers refuse to stop in this corridor, part of it is practical. They know a small problem can become a long wait. But that does not explain why some of them keep watching the tree line, or why certain lights seem to appear away from any road at all. Before the strange lights can be taken seriously, the place itself has to be treated with care. The Pilliga is Gamilaraay and Gamilaroi country. Long before freight trucks moved through the night on the Newell, this forest was known through tracks, water, stone, fire, food, story, and lore. That matters here because the scrub is often described by outsiders as empty. It is held country with places inside it that are not meant to be found by accident. One of those places is the Sandstone Caves. Visitors can reach them, but they are deliberately left off directional signs at the request of Aboriginal elders. That choice is important. It means a person driving through the forest will see signs for ordinary access points, picnic areas, roads and reserves, while one of the most culturally sensitive places in the scrub remains quiet unless you already know to ask. The map of the Pilliga has two layers. There is the public map, with roads and marked turns. Then there is the older map, the one carried through knowledge, permission, and restraint. You can feel that difference in the country. The air smells of dry leaves and warm stone. Sound drops quickly under the trees. Even in daylight, a track can feel private after a few bends. The reports from the night road sit in a difficult place. The forest already contains things that are intentionally not advertised. The lights people describe are often seen in the spaces between those known roads. Once you understand that the Pilliga has hidden layers, the shape of the modern forest starts to matter even more. The scrub people drive through today is dense in a way that can surprise first-time visitors. The landscape has been pushed and altered over time. Old fire patterns broken, timber cut, grazing country opened and abandoned, young growth thickening where open woodland once breathed more freely. This change affects the night road. A closed forest canopy holds the dark low over the highway. Cypress pine and ironbark crowd the edges. The air can smell sharp with resin, dust and dry bark. When a truck passes, its wake rolls through the leaves, then the sound is swallowed again. Even a powerful set of headlights only buys a short tunnel of vision before the trees take it back. This is where ordinary judgment begins to strain. A bend looks like the last bend, a track mouth appears for 2 seconds in the beam and is gone. A pale trunk can flash like movement, a reflector can flare and vanish. A tired driver knows all of that, and good drivers allow for it. It is professional caution, earned mile by mile, but the reports that cling to this corridor do not stop at tricks of dust, bark and fatigue. They describe light sitting deeper in the scrub, away from farm gates, away from houses, away from the highway itself, in places where the trees should have blocked the view completely. By the time the stories become stories, the first witnesses have usually already tried to explain them away. It is part of what makes the Pilliga reports difficult to dismiss. The people seeing these lights are often people who know roads. Drivers know the difference between a reflector and a headlight. They know how dust can catch a beam, how a farm gate can shine for half a second, how animal eyes can appear low and bright before vanishing into scrub. Still, the pattern keeps returning. A glow appears past the tree line. Sometimes it seems steady. Sometimes it seems to shift, as if moving between trunks. It is not always described the same way, and that matters. Real reports are messy. People notice different things when they are tired, alone, and rolling through dark timber with the radio low and the cab smelling of coffee, diesel, and warm vinyl. Across those accounts, one detail keeps causing trouble. The light is often placed inside the forest. It is seen where there should be no house, no side road, no visible vehicle, no easy source. The closed forest canopy and the thick scrub should cut the line of sight into short pieces, so a careful listener has to hold 2 ideas at once. Some reports may be ordinary mistakes, some may be fatigue, some may be headlights bending through dust or glimpsed through gaps. Then there are the ones that seem to happen too deep in the trees, where a simple road explanation starts to break apart. This is the point where the best ordinary explanation has to be tested properly. Across Australia, strange lights in open country are often compared with the Min-Min lights, and one serious explanation comes from Professor Jack Pettigrew's Fata Morgana mirage theory. In simple terms, it says that layers of air can bend light from far away. A headlight, a camp, or a distant building can be lifted over the horizon and made to seem closer, floating, or out of place. The answer deserves respect. It uses weather, distance, temperature, and light. It gives people a way to think before reaching for the unknown. But it needs the right country. A Fata Morgana works best over flat, open ground, where light can travel across long, clear sightlines. The Pilliga gives you the opposite. Trees crowd the road, scrub breaks the view into fragments. The closed forest canopy cuts off the sky in places, and trunks stand between the driver and anything beyond them. You can smell dry bark through a cracked window, hear branches scrape in the wind, and still see only a short wall of timber outside the beam. If a light is seen deep inside that scrub, the mirage theory starts to struggle. It may explain some Australian mystery lights elsewhere. It may even explain some reports from open edges of country. But inside this forest corridor, where the view is blocked in every direction, the neat answer does not reach far enough. That leaves the hardest kind of question. What remains after the best explanation fails? After that, the story moves from general warning into something more specific, a reported observation that lasted long enough to be studied by the people who saw it. Researcher Craig Powell went into the Pilliga because the reports had become too steady to ignore. He was not dealing with one flash in a side mirror or one tired driver on a late run. His account describes sustained, luminous phenomena inside the forest, watched with another witness present. That second person matters. It means the experience was not locked inside one mind, one set of eyes, one moment of panic. Picture the conditions around such an observation: dark timber, dust underfoot, the smell of dry leaves and old bark, the small sounds that seem louder when the engine is off, insects, a branch settling, your own movement against clothing. In that setting, a light that remains visible gives you time to test it. You can look away and back. You can ask whether it is a vehicle, a torch, a camp, a reflection, a gap to some distant road. Powell still described the event as unexplained. That does not close the case. A careful investigation never should. But it adds weight to the same problem drivers talk around on the highway: lights appearing inside a place that resists the usual answers. And if people have gone looking, watched, compared notes, and still come back without a clean explanation, why has the Pilliga remained more of a warning passed between drivers than a mystery formally pulled apart? The problem with the Pilliga: even when someone tries to investigate it carefully, the place fights against clean answers. A mystery in open country can be watched from a distance. You can set up cameras, mark a horizon, compare farm lights, wait for the same weather, and see whether the effect returns. In the scrub, everything is closer and harder. A light may show through one gap between trees, then vanish when you move a few steps. A track that looks clear in daylight can turn to red dust and shadow after sunset. The air smells dry and metallic, and every small sound seems to come from the wrong direction. Then there is the size of it. More than 2,000 kilometres of tracks are threaded through this forest, and many have no phone reception. Some lead back only the way they came. A researcher cannot simply cover the whole place in one night, or even know which patch of timber will matter. Cultural care adds another limit. Some places should not be entered casually. Some places are not marked on purpose. It does not make them paranormal. It means any investigation has to move with restraint, permission, and respect. The Pilliga remains awkward for both sides. It is too reported to brush away and too difficult to pin down. Drivers keep moving. Researchers get fragments. The forest keeps its distances. Somewhere beyond the highway beam, another light can appear for a few seconds, with no clear road leading to it. By now, the old driver's rule has changed shape. It is no longer just a nervous habit at the edge of a dark forest. Think about what sits behind it. A highway between Coonabarabran and Narrabri, side tracks running off into timber with no phone reception, culturally sensitive places that are kept quiet on purpose, a landscape thick enough to break sightlines into pieces, a mirage theory that works in open country, then weakens under trees, and one careful report. From Craig Powell and a second witness, describing light that stayed visible long enough to test and still refused to become ordinary. Now put a truck back on the Newell at night. The cab is its own small world. Dash lights, engine heat, the soft rattle of loose gear, the bitter smell of coffee gone cold. Beyond the windscreen, the road markings run white and steady. The scrub sits close on both sides. Every few seconds, the headlights catch a trunk, a signpost, a patch of dust hanging in the air. A driver may not believe in anything strange. Many probably do not. They still know when a place has a pattern. They know when stopping gives the forest too many chances to turn a small problem into a bigger one, and they know the difference between caution and panic. That is why the Pilliga Scrub Lights and the haunted forest corridor of the Newell Highway that long-haul drivers refuse to stop in at night remain so difficult to file away. Because the most unsettling part is not that people report lights in the scrub. It is that the practical people keep making the same choice. In the end, the Pilliga does not hand over the kind of answer people like to put in a neat box. The reports continue in the same rough shape. A light seen through timber, a glow where no simple source should be, a driver who keeps both hands on the wheel and lets the kilometers run out. Some of those sightings may have ordinary causes. A reflection, a distant vehicle caught at the right angle, fatigue doing strange work after midnight. Any honest telling has to leave room for that, but honesty also means leaving room for the rest of it. The road still crosses a forest with more than 2,000 kilometers of tracks, long stretches of no phone reception, places held carefully out of casual sight, and a canopy that makes the best mirage explanation fall short. The Pilliga Scrub Lights and the haunted forest corridor of the Newell Highway that long-haul drivers refuse to stop in at night remain a problem because the caution came before the legend hardened. So the final image is a simple one. A truck clears the last heavy timber before dawn. The mirrors show only black road behind it. Ahead, the sky begins to pale over flat country, and the driver does not pull over until the scrub is gone from both sides. Some mysteries do not chase you. They wait beside the road and let sensible people make their own rules. If this kind of grounded Australian mystery belongs on your night drive playlist, stay with the channel for the next one. And if you have crossed the Pilliga after dark, tell us what you noticed.